What's going good, everybody? It is Doc Up with your daily news. So, let me just touch on the gameplay real quick so I can give you some backstory. This was basically, I got my Avo Media, clicked that record button right before the match started, and just decided to post whatever I wanted. If I did bad, did good. I am using PP90 extended mags. Yeah, it can be a little bit noobish, I understand, but it gets the job done, and that's what matters. Now, what we're going to be talking about is basically these nuclear power plants had to, get shut down because they had a cooling problem and now they aren't producing energy anymore. And, I'm going to talk about my thoughts about nuclear power plants and energy later on, but the basics of the story is that there was a couple of nuclear power plants that were producing energy and it came into a cooling problem. Now, just like a computer, just like a PlayStation or Xbox, it needs to be cooled down. So, what happened was that since there was a cooling problem, they had to shut it down. And this is bad because let's say these were supplying energy to cities. Now, these cities don't have as much energy as before. Now, most cities do have alternate power supplies, but this would be bad. Alright, let's take for example the city you're living in was being powered. Now, all of a sudden, it's gone and now you have to tap into other types of resources. That's bad. So let's move on to the pros and cons of the nuclear power plant. Now, the pros is that it can produce a lot of energy, semi what efficiently. Doesn't pollute as much as fossil fuels, but doesn't pollute as little as a solar power plant. So the con of this is that produces waste. Kind of danger. I mean, there's some danger in setting these up and getting them running properly. And then there's always the fact that they can be shut down, just like everything else. So let's take this all together and make a verdict. It's like a 7 out of 10. It's not completely bad and it's not completely good. Because if it was completely good, we would have a lot of them. If they would be completely bad, we would not be having any. So, obviously, there has to be something good about them, and there has to be something bad. My opinion is that we should have a couple more in America, at least in America, because if we can contain them, and this is the important part of the commentary, well, of the topic, as long as we can contain something and control it, then you basically relieve all danger of it. So let's take Call of Duty for example. This is a good example. If I was able to control every part of Call of Duty, it would be a lot more enjoyable game and wouldn't piss me off as much. Now let's take this with a nuclear power plant. If we could control every part of it in a contained area, then we wouldn't have to worry about danger. Now let's say if I was controlling Call of Duty and the way of controlling messed up. Now, I'm messed up. But since I have this control, now let's move back to the power plant. Since I had all this controlled earlier, if something did mess up, I have room for error. That is the main point. If we have room for error, then error is fine. If we have no room for error, error is bad. So, as I said, nuclear power plants, they're alright. I would like to see some more, but I don't want to see a ton. Let's talk about energy now. Energy is important. We're always looking for the best energy source, and there is none. Never ever will there be a best energy source, but I think we can come close. If we can harness every energy source possible that is efficient, so let's say there's some way of getting energy, but it's not a good way of getting it, or it's too much work for the effort, we wouldn't classify it as that. But some efficient ways are solar power plants, wind farms, or whatever they call them, getting energy from the earth, nuclear power plants, hydroelectric. So we get all this mess, combine it into one energy source. So how we would do this, I don't know, but if we can combine all these together, we would basically have a renewable energy source that is pretty clean. The main thing that humans, us, civilization, struggle with is producing clean energy efficiently. Because right now we use fossil fuels, which, are dead animals, plants from many years ago, which give off pollution, greenhouse gas. Now, that's bad for Earth, really bad. But solar, hydroelectric, nuclear, they're all pretty clean. But getting them to work as good as fossil fuels is a hard part. So like I said, if we could bring them all together into one energy source, you don't know how much energy we could produce. We could produce 10 times more energy than fossil fuels. So, with that said, I just want to add this in. I don't know if you guys have known, but there are basically these things called oil sands. Now, I believe right now they're like in America. They might be in the European countries. I don't know yet. Right now, I know they're in Europe for sure. I think in Alaska. But basically what's going on is that these oil sands contain oil, and these oil companies right now, secretly, not that much of a secret now, because I'm telling you, they are getting all these oil sands to get more oil to make sure their business survives longer. So, it looks like we aren't going to be going away from fossil fuels for a long time. So, with these oil sands, maybe another 50, maybe 100 years more left of oil. So, just wanted to add that in. Hope you guys enjoyed the gameplay, and I'll see you guys on the flip side. Hope you enjoyed Daily News.